So we only been waiting about, 17 weeks for football, and it's here, folks. We're going to take a look at the first test for your 2022 Kansas City Chiefs, something that Seth's been writing about and I've been talking about for about the last week. As we get really close, we have a ton to go over, particularly about the guys on the cover, but all the rookie class, all the new wrinkles. We're going to see a ton of new things, and we have something new for you right now. Welcome to the newly revised look at Chief in the North on RGR Football. Good Lord, that's hot.
Whoa, that is, Ryan, I don't tell you this often enough, but you are a talented man, my friend. Lest anyone believe there's any remote possibility I had anything to do with that whatsoever. No, I didn't. Other than saying, dude, that's amazing. That was my contribution to that project. That is so awesome, man. And I got to tell you, it feels good, 4 years later, I think 3-4 years later, to hear those Beethoven notes again. I can't hear that without thinking, let's talk some Chiefs. And so This is like, I'm moving forward while looking back, and this is a great day, man.
I like it a lot too. And the nice thing is Beethoven is copyright free. So no entanglements there.
Yeah. I wanted to do Enter Sandman, but a weird thing happened.
Right. James and Lars aren't so big on that.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of VTech fans also wanted to hurt me. So
yeah, right. Oh man, I gotta tell you,
football.
Right, it's here. I do want to share with everybody, if you did like that little hit, let me show you this too, because these are up on the Teespring store right now.
Oh my goodness!
You guys can get the brand new ones. So yeah, it's I almost put V 2.0, but hey, it is what it is, right?
Once again, I mean, it's enough to make a guy faint. So now I have not one, but two things, whatever you call them, images, graphics. There it is. As you can see, I was deeply involved in this.
Yes.
I'm something of a graphic designer myself. And neither of them were ones that I designed. The talented people like you and I mean, it's just people are so awesome. That looks amazing. Seriously, is there a link where people can find that?
Yes, it should be in the description after we finish the live, but I'll grab it for you guys right now.
Yes,
and put it in live
because
chat.
you need this in your life. You do.
Well,
now, why? I can't. If you're going to ask me hard questions like that, we're going to have a really hard time talking about this. But here's one thing worth noting. One thing, if you subscribe to the Chief in the North, right? And a lot of people have, and it's very kind of all of you. And I try to put in the work to reward your support. And it's been overwhelming. The last 2 years have been unbelievable. I think year 3 is going to be awesome too. I'm so excited. If you want to know, how I already subscribe, how could I support more? Something like this does, not just by buying the shirt, like that's great, but really the value in it for me is it's hard to, I'm not going to pay for advertising. I'm not going to promote tweets. I'm not going to maybe I should. I don't know. I've been told I'm legendarily bad at those things. It drives Ryan crazy. It drives Briscoe crazy. They're like, well, why don't you just make some calls to some businesses? And I'm like, I don't know. Kind of
sounds like effort. Why would I do that?
That sounds really hard. And with my seconds of spare time per day, my wife usually likes me to at least look at her for a second. And so one way you can support is I guess I would call it raising awareness of the fact that it exists. Because I still have people to this day that will, and this is 2 years later, that I'll tweet something like an article. And I'll have someone say to me on Twitter, whoa, when'd you start a site? And I'm like,
really?
Oh my goodness, that sweatshirt's incredible. Yes. So anyway, that's one thing you can do to support the Chief in the North and support RGR Football, because my guy Ryan has just put in the work. So, I mean, man, today's kind of a day of announcements, right?
It kind of is, right?
And so do we want to do the procedural stuff before we move into preseason week 1? Do we
We-
want to let
we-
people know?
We might as well, because this is going to be important. We'll always talk Chiefs, but it's going to take a little bit of a different form. Do you want to lay it down for everybody?
Yeah. So basically, here's the long and short of it. As I turn your volume up, because you're way too quiet, and the sultry sound of your voice is one that I
buddy.
always don't be as loud as baby, why don't we just okay? So
I didn't expect
all
that
right.
from you.
So this year we're going to do things a little bit differently for the Chief of the North RGR football collaboration. The live streams that you've grown to know and love for Thursday nights are going to no longer be completely 100% live streams. And there's reasons for this, some of which will bore you, so I won't give them to you. Some of which has to do with time and the fact that Ryan and Dan, they already do such a good job getting you guys the full-fledged live streams on multiple times per week. That doesn't mean Ryan and I will never do a live stream. We will. And you're going to say, Seth, you're saying this like it's an announcement, but that sounds like terrible news. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Less of me wouldn't be terrible news, but that's not what's happening. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of doing 2 of the live streams, doing 1 live stream, I'm actually going to be doing 2 different videos every week, one of which will come on at the time that you've gotten accustomed to, roughly on Thursdays. It won't technically be live. It'll come up as a live stream, but I'm going to be doing mailbag stuff. So I'll be asking, hey, weekly RGR Chief of the North mailbag questions are here. I'll be doing that probably around Wednesday every week. And then Thursday, you guys will be able to watch as I answer different mailbag questions. In addition to that, and I don't know why I went this direction in terms of the week, let's go backwards. The new show. There's going to be a new, let's call it a show, a blurb, a teaser, a something. Every Monday, I am going to be giving you, This Week in Chiefs Kingdom. I actually haven't come up with a fully formed name for it. I kind of like This Week in Chiefs Kingdom with the Chief in the North, but boy, is that a mouthful. Holy cow.
Yeah.
This Week in Chief in the North Kingdom. Now, who knows? We'll figure out what we're going to call it. But every Monday, I'm going to do about a 10, 15-minute show, basically talking about the game that had occurred the previous day, or if it's, you got a Monday Night Football game, maybe I'll do it Tuesday instead. We'll see. And then basically going to go over what some of the biggest storylines that I took away from the game are once I've gotten to delve into rewatching the game once or twice and as I'm just starting to get into the film. So it's not going to be as detailed. It's not going to be a lot of, mailbag questions, but what it is going to be is basically a quick and dirty, this is the biggest takeaways from the game. I think these are the things to be watching out for in Chiefs coverage this week. This is what's coming for the Substack. This is what's coming on Ryan's channel. Basically, I'm going to try to smash a whole week of coverage into an itty-bitty little show. And hopefully it's going to go really well, because we all know how good I am at saying one word when I could say 2. And
sure.
And so here's how you know Ryan's a genius there, dear viewers and RGR football subscribers. Ryan knows me pretty well. We've worked together for a long time. So when I say to him, I could do 2 shows, but, the first one, like the Monday morning one, probably have to be more like a 10, 15-minute one, previewing, This Week in Chiefs Kingdom, This Week in Chiefs coverage, whatever it is, look like the main storylines, that kind of thing. Maybe I'll even do countdowns. Who knows? It's hard to say what I might do.
Ooh.
You can ask the people who know me and love me. It's very difficult to say what I might do. But he knows that when I say, it'll probably be about 10, 15 minutes, he knows that I know that he knows that that's not always how that ends up for me. And that happened all the time so obviously the music was from the Chief of the North podcast when I was doing that by myself. Every week I'd say to myself, all right, this is just me talking. There is no reason this should take longer than half an hour. And every week I'd get done with the recording and be like, 1 hour and 17 minutes.
Ruh-roh.
Like how? And then I just, I'm going to send that to Ryan. Ryan, please edit it. So that's what it's going to look like this season. And we're actually starting this Monday. You will be seeing for the first time what that first video will look like. And we'll have the Chiefs Bears to talk about. I'll talk about the first couple of articles that I've put out on the Substack. I hope I'm reviewing all sorts of players from Monday night's game.
Yeah.
I may or may not, and I can't answer any questions or elaborate at all in any way, shape, or form, but I may or may not have a little bit of all 22 of preseason games. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Who knows what things might happen? It's impossible to say. So that's going to be coming this Monday and every Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Chief of the North, RGR football. And then, of course, whenever Ryan and I get a chance to work together, we will, because part of the whole reason I'm here isn't because, he likes looking at this face. Very few people do.
Fabulous.
It is a fabulous face, but it's because we just love working together so much. So this means that you and me will be sharing a little less FaceTime.
True.
But you and me there, dear viewer, you and me, we will be getting more face-to-face time like this. And it's going to be mailbag stuff. I'm going to try to get it through as many of them as possible. So again, every Wednesday I'll put out something. I've got to figure out. I'll put out a tweet saying, "Hey, this is this week's RGR Football Chief of the North mailbag. Get your questions here," and I'll try to run through as many of them as possible. Your experience here in the comment section may make you think that I won't get to a lot of them, but I will. I promise. So it'll be more of this, but don't let that discourage you, because we'll find a way to make me look less big. I don't know. Maybe I'll sit back here or something. That way you can see the cargo shorts. It'll be great. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for a second year of us working together.
Yeah.
We talked about working together again when I had to kind of back off from doing multiple shows a week up with Locked On Chiefs.
Yep.
We talked about working together for years. And this last year, getting to work with you again, genuinely one of the highlights of the season. And I can't wait to do it again. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you. I feel the same way. Like we have a good way of, even when we don't necessarily agree, and sometimes don't believe everything you read, folks. Sometimes we do disagree, but we come at it from different angles. And that's the thing that I love the most, is because we come from different portions, but we get to the same conclusion. And that, I think, has its own validity. So when we talk about, especially players that we haven't seen yet, like all these rookies that are going to play here on Saturday, like it gives us, I think, a way to zero in on what the truth is, maybe more so than a lot of the talking head shows that, somebody has to take the other point of view because they got told to by a producer. That's not what we do.
Yeah, someone's got to be the, maybe Mahomes isn't that good guy.
Right.
Still, someone has to be that guy. And you almost, at this point, you almost got to feel bad for that guy. So it's going to be an exciting season. And on a final thing, and I'll say this Monday morning or Monday, whenever you guys get it, be patient with me doing content on my own. You guys remember the night that I first did this on my own? I sat there. I was like,
is this thing on?
I was like looking behind the computer. The codes are inside the computer. It was all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. Grow with us. It's going to be the closest thing to the return to the Chief of the North podcast that I've done. And I have had people ask me about that for a while. God only knows why. You're sick people. I mean, honestly, but I love it. And it's just a chance to just unfiltered, just kind of go through things. So it's going to be an awesome year. And you and me will find time to do some stuff together still. I'll beg you to join me some morning when I'm, at 5 a.m. and I'm like here at the office sucking down bio drinks or having one intravenously put in. I'll be like, Ryan, please join me. It's going to be awesome.
I'm more likely to still be up at 5 a.m. than get up at 5 a.m. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but we will get there, and you guys will see us together. The point is that you're going to get more content from Seth and his perspective to go with mine and Dan's and Gary's and Big Chief Sean's and Stevie and Gooch's and all of it together. So we're expanding, and I hope you guys are pumped for it. And it starts this week. So real easy. Who's the guy you want to watch the most? Doesn't matter like what position he plays. Who do you want to see the most on Saturday?
Man, someone should have written an article called the 10 Chiefs I'm most interested in against the Bears, and I did. And so I'll tell you number one, and it's super basic, and I'm sorry, but I make no apologies. Sky Moore, and there's guys that I'm really excited to see, but I mean, Sky Moore is like here, and everyone else is a tier below, although I'm really excited to see a lot of these guys. So I'm just excited. So I originally started off saying I was going to do 5 Chiefs, the 5 Chiefs I'm most interested in. And then I was like, well, I can't leave out this guy. And then it became 7. I skipped 6 because, the devil hates you. And so I went right to 7 because God loves you. And so that's how that works, by the way. And
Oh,
so
okay.
whoa. Oh my goodness. This is becoming just way too high tech for me.
I know you're already lost. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm already gone. And so number 1, so if you look right here, you see the 10 most interesting Chiefs. I ended up at 10 because I couldn't help myself. And then I ended up because, again, I'm sick. I have a problem. I even did an honorable mention. If you scroll down a little bit there, it is like there's a little honorable mention portion. And then I talk for a while about guys I'm excited to see. But number 1 is absolutely Sky Moore. Who's your number 1 guy? Because then I'll talk about why I'm excited to see Sky. But I'm curious who your number 1 guy is.
It's Trent and Trent and Trent and Trent. Because right now, Legarius did it again. Legarius had like 3 PBUs in camp today, right? And like in their little like mini in between days off kind of practice. Trent is the guy that I think can put them over the top because I think you're going to get that from Legarius. I think he's going to take a step forward. So it's really about, can this secondary lock down the teams that they have to face? The Bills in particular, the Bengals are coming. What can they do against the Chargers twice? Week 2 is looming large on my calendar. And it is about Trent getting into and up to speed right now today. And folks, I know you have questions and super chats. We are going to get to them later in the show.
We absolutely are. I'm going to try something, okay? I'm going to try something. And I'm hoping, oh man, I'm really worried I'm going to hit my share screen because that's what I'm about to try. And like some legal thing is going to pop up. So let me minimize literally everything else on my screen before it's like, that's confidential. All right, we're going to give this a try. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sharing. You ready?
No, but yes.
All right. Hit the share screen. Are you seeing it?
Nope.
Oh, what? Which? Oh no, I need to pick one.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
It's a process. This is cool. Hang on. I can pick. By the way, everyone, I'm driving Ryan crazy right this second.
Folks, this is what it's like every day.
This is what it's like. Oh, I did it. Hey, hold on though. Where is it? Where is it?
You get yourself ready.
Where is it? Hey, there it is. So here's a reason why I did this. Look at my number 2 right here.
Well done.
This is actually easier than I thought it would be. People, I just learned something. You're going to get this on Monday mornings, just except not like the 35 seconds it took me to figure that out. But
you'll get better.
We'll see. But this guy, number 2, Trent McDuffie, because you are absolutely 100% right about him. He is a guy that the defense is really relying on to try to get to that next level. And I'm excited for him because he's kind of fallen underneath the radar a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, now let's hold on. Let's see. Stop screen.
Well done. Well done.
I have so much power. Oh man, people are gonna either hate this or love this when it happens, because I'm still not sure how I did that, but I'll figure it out. So the thing with Trent is that there were people, including Dane Brugler, who viewed him as the second best corner in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And when Brugler says something about the draft, literally everyone that covers the draft says that's the dude. And that doesn't mean he's right 100% of the time. Yep. But if there was one person I was going to listen to, even over a lot of NFL GMs, it would be him. And the thing with McDuffie, the only reason there's not more hype about him is because he's 5'11" instead of 6 foot.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
He didn't show a ton of ball skills in college, but he also wasn't asked to because no one would throw at him. I want to hear it. Oh yeah, he's got.
That's what they're crying about. He's got less than 30-inch arms.
Yeah,
and he will make the most of it. He always did. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it drives me nuts. Sorry.
Well, no, and he's not that's one interesting thing with that. He's not an offensive tackle.
Right.
Okay, he's a corner, and the only reason that the arm length comes into play, like people want to talk about pressing, playing physical, or ball contesting. He didn't have to show a lot in terms of contesting the ball. Which, by the way, even if you just go based on practice clips, it seems like he's breaking up 2 or 3 a day at this point. And so it seems like something he can do. But like in terms of, can he play physically without length? I mean, it's kind of like when people are like, well, can Patrick Mahomes consistently throw the ball accurately with weird feet? Well, on film, he could. And now, does that mean McDuffie's going to be a stud all-pro? No. But it just means that if someone's able to do something on film, you shouldn't assume they can't do that thing because of a trait or a lack thereof. And so with McDuffie, I mean, he is a guy who could genuinely, first of all, keep the defense from suffering with the loss of Charvarius Ward. That's going to be a big deal because Ward had developed into a very competent corner. He could keep that from sliding back, and maybe even as the season goes on, go up a little bit. And so he's the guy I'm second most interested in for those reasons. And like you said, he's kind of one of the keys. The young guys in general are the key to unlocking that secondary. But now we got to talk about my guy, Sky Moore.
Okay. All right. Yep. Fine.
Here's the thing with Moore. I don't know what to expect necessarily. Generally speaking, you would expect little. And you and I have talked about this all offseason. And I told myself I wouldn't do this come training camp. The expectation is that it will take Moore a while to get into the swing of the offense, and that there's every possibility that he's the fourth receiver when they start up. Every possibility. And I think that there's still a possibility of that. However, that depends entirely on him, because the skill set he showed in college is one that no one else on the roster, other than maybe if he's recovered his, peak, Juju Smith-Schuster, no one else on the roster has that, the skill set that he has. And so he could force his way onto the field a lot sooner. And preseason game number 1 is that first step. And the things we see at camp, where it's the big thing with him, the thing we loved coming out of college, his ability to get separation at the line. His releases are excellent.
Yep. That's
huge deal. His breaks are good, and he can run through contact. And he's also got huge hands, a good catch radius, and he showed that off too. But that release ability and the ability to create separation quickly when someone's trying to press up on him, that's something the Chiefs badly needed last year from anyone. And they couldn't get it. And if Hardman continues to not show that, MVS isn't really, he's a guy, if you press him, he might burn you deep, but it's not going to be a quick separation situation. He might be a guy that forces his way onto the field if teams are really zoning in on Kelsey. And then, say Juju Smith-Schuster is playing well, you need that third guy. And so you can tell things about individuals in these preseason games, even though you can't necessarily tell things about the entire team. And so that's why I'm really excited to see him, because we should see him in some man coverage situations.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Before we move on, I do want to take 1 second to recognize Josh is here. And folks, if you don't know Josh, you probably don't know that you don't know him, because he's been here forever as one of our members. And Josh, good to see you, and thanks for the support. I did not realize that you were going in, so I would definitely like to connect with you and talk some Chiefs before. Looks like you are going to join up and go for it. And folks, give Josh a hand. Signing up for Armed Services is a significant deal. It helps you and I. And Josh, I appreciate you. That's a big decision. I'm certainly glad for you. And hey, good for you, Micah, for pointing that out as well. There's a lot going on. And it's funny because everything comes and goes, especially even in Chiefs Kingdom. Players come and go. Ask Tyreek Hill. But fan base is fan base. And Joshua, I'm sure you'll be busy, but you'll be remembered as part of the active group around here. And I'm sure that will diminish some, but that's okay. We'll get back around to it. It will be a lot of fun. So cheers to you. We'll get to your questions and stuff later, everybody. I just wanted to point that out while we had a minute.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Now, my big thing is I hope that they don't have to have Sky. I hope that McColl makes a significant case to keep himself on the field and not give up those snaps. So that's my hope. But, we always fall into this kind of thing where, let's put it this way. I watch defense first and you watch offense first. That's just the way that it is. So I'm not surprised by our first two, but if Trent's your second as well, who's the third? Where do you see the criticality of who needs to get on the field and make an impact?
So the third, man, I'm being so basic because 3 and 4 are offensive players too. But 5, 6, 7, and 8 are defensive players. So, I mean, let's just work our way down here. Number 3 for me, and this might not make sense to a lot of people because another wide receiver is already there. It is Juju Smith-Schuster.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be surprising to people because he's more of a known quantity. But I wouldn't call his 2021 necessarily the known quantity about him. He played hurt a lot of the year. He's had a couple of years that were goofy with injuries. And I'm not sure if the him that you see is necessarily going to be the exact same as what you saw last year in Pittsburgh. And if that's even, recovered, like, it's not like he lost a ton of explosion. He just lost a little bit, but he was never a super explosive player. But if you recover, 5% of that back, that looks different once you're fully healthy. And let's face it, maybe in a new environment. He's had terrible luck the last couple of years. Now, to be fair, he chose that for himself last year. The Chiefs offered him a deal. He said no, chose to stay in Pittsburgh. And that, honestly, I mean, getting injured obviously affected him a great deal. But had he been in Kansas City for the 6 or 7 games he was healthy, he might have gotten considerably more interest in the free agent market than he did. Because maybe he goes for, 500 yards during those 6 games, or something like that. And it's hard to say. Who knows what will happen with him? But Juju Smith-Schuster is one of my guys that while the ceiling of the offense is ultimately predicated on Patrick Mahomes, and we all know it,
sure,
Juju Smith-Schuster is one of the ceiling guys for the offense. It's like, okay, if he plays like just exactly like he did last year to where he's above average, but not great, fair enough. That'll help a ton, especially if MVS is just a decent deep threat. And, that helps a lot. They needed that. If he plays well, like really well, not even like not Justin Jefferson well, but if he plays, top 25 receiver well, top 20 receiver well, the ceiling of the offense suddenly jumps. And that's a really big deal. And so I'm curious to see. We might not see much from him, though. If they really like where he's at.
Oh, sure. On Saturday? Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah. If they like where he's at, but because he's a new arrival, you might see a little bit more. I've done a couple. Why don't you name one? And hopefully he's on my list because it's going to be a defensive player and I'm not going to look like just obsessed with offense.
Well, it's got to be Karlaftis because if anybody's going to play the second highest number of snaps on the defense as a rookie, it's got to be Karlaftis. That's what he's here for. Yeah, I think there are some folks that are starting to get worried that maybe he's not progressing fast enough. And I want to slow that down. I want to tell folks, relax, it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. We knew that he had places to go. We knew that he had things he had to improve on. That is a process. And don't let the fact that Carlos Dunlap is here make you nervous about that. He now has 2 guys that can mentor him and 2 guys who have 2 different ways of going about playing the position that can help him make that progress down his own road. I think it's a big plus. But to be honest, those guys are both older and Carlos still has plenty. But I think if you let him play too many reps and you take those away from George early, I think that does degrade both of them come January. So sure. I do think that it is important for Karlaftis to play the second most number of snaps because I think Trent's going to play, 80-85% of the snaps is my guess.
I could definitely see that. He actually came in at number 5 for me. And so I totally get where you're coming from. He's another ceiling guy. This time it's the ceiling of the defense. And it's tough to know what the ceiling of the defense is because they got a lot of young guys. Dunlap I viewed as more of a floor signing, right? Like you're trying to keep the floor from being just abysmal with the pass rush. Karlaftis, if he can just be competent as a pass rusher and not like just competent as an overall player, like Mike Dana was last year, but competent as a pass rusher, that suddenly now we jack up the floor and the ceiling again for the defense.
Can change the game.
You absolutely do. And he is such a fun guy because he doesn't have great length and he does not, at least that we know of. I know he was working with Bobby Strope. And we'll see, maybe he can help guys get bend that don't have bend before. You know more about that than I do. That doesn't seem like the easiest thing to do.
It's a challenge. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, because I assume if you could work out a certain way and get more bend around the edge, more guys would develop that.
Right. You wouldn't wait until you're in the pros to get there.
Right. And to be fair, not every college athletic training department is created equal.
That's a very nice way to put it. Clemson. Sorry. Did I say that out loud? My fault.
No, I don't think I heard anything. So I'm just curious, but he doesn't necessarily need that because his hand usage and his explosion, which is underrated, and his strength, that's a really, really big deal. So he's a ceiling, he's a floor guy and a ceiling guy, but especially a ceiling guy, because that could be a game changer with a competent guy in him. So he came in at number 5 for me. See, you and me, we're like right here. So one guy that I'm going to name 2 because I just did very quick blurbs. Hey, congratulations on becoming a member, Carrie.
Yes. And thank you for the kind words, Carrie.
You know, only if they're directed at me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, so we're getting to that phase of the conversation. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I've got 2 guys that most people probably don't have on their list, but they're guys that I'm really interested in seeing. And they're Orlando Brown and Frank Clark, which might sound weird because they're both veterans. We kind of know. But both of them appear physically different than they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Brown looks legitimately 10 to 15 pounds lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 to 15 legitimate pounds. I mean, he's noticeably slimmer. And if you're to believe people who are observing practice, and we'll see, he looks like he might be moving a little better. And here's the deal. When you do the other things Orlando Brown Jr. does well, if you can even have average lateral agility and change of direction, you can be a top 5 tackle because you do so many other things so well. Because that would also, he makes guys one-dimensional, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that time after time. Guys stop trying to go through him or inside because he's really great at taking their momentum and just sending them sprawling into their own defensive linemen. So the guys become one-dimensional, speed rush. And if he can make that speed rush a little less effective, he goes from competent left tackle, above average left tackle, to good to very, very good left tackle. So I'm interested in that because even though it's preseason, that's something, a physical change that we should be able to see immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It's either there or it's not.
Yes.
Same thing with Frank Clark. He's down however many pounds, depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
I
would say 15 at least as well.
Yeah, at least. And he looks shredded. Good for him.
Well, although he was ill again today. The illness hit, and it still makes me nervous. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, absolutely, because that's indicative that it can kind of crop up at any time. And he's just, I mean, I think it obviously some stomach bug type stuff this is just what he has to live with. And that does explain to an extent some of the stuff that's gone on the last few years. Mm-hmm. It explains why he was playing as like someone who's robbed of power. He's ill. Fair enough. He does look thinner, looks pretty shredded, looks like he's getting off the line really well. We'll see. Him, much like Brown, those are things that should be readily apparent even in a preseason game after just a couple of snaps. So those are 2 of the guys on my list there. The veterans that make the cut.
Those 2 in particular, I hope that they're like Patrick. Andy said Patrick's going to play, or the starters are going to play quarter, Patrick in particular. I hope it doesn't really amount to that because I don't think that's worth it. Same thing for Frank, especially if he's not feeling 100%. And they have to harness the best they can out of him. And I think he's ready for that. But I wonder if it's something more significant. I mean, I'm not going to just take wild guesses, but there are a lot of GI tract illnesses that lead to these kind of symptoms where it's year after year and it always pops up. It's more of a management kind of thing. There's Crohn's, there's a number of different deals. So it can be significant. And Liz, I want to shout out Liz. Aaron, I don't think is in the house tonight, but Liz Morrow, our fearless moderator, is here. Guys, make sure that you're pepping up and listening to her because, yeah, she's going to keep things straight. And hey, a lot of questions in the house. So let's wrap it up with the one guy that maybe no one else is thinking of, and then we'll get to the questions.
For me, a guy that people aren't talking about enough is, and he made, I think, number 7, because again, I had this run of defensive players, is Nick Bolton. Nick surprised both of us last year. some guys just know how to play football, and we've gone through that. We've waxed eloquent. It's not like he was an all-pro as a rookie. He was not. But he was a guy that was exploited early in coverage and really tightened that up as the year went along to become. I'd hesitate to call him a plus player in coverage at the end of the year, because it's not like you could widen your assignments based on him. True. But he was doing the things that he was asked to do at a plus level.
And it wasn't a glowing weakness. And that's all you can ask for at that position.
Right. When you got a guy that can move the needle like he can against the run and against, shorter throws and kind of patrol the middle of the field a little bit there and the line of scrimmage and actually getting to the sideline a little better than I expected. He's saying that he's slimmed down a little bit. He looks, and maybe it's just he's wearing 32 and that does it, but he looks a little slimmed down as well. Apparently, like, that was the theme of the Chiefs offseason, is everyone, I don't know, like, went on keto or something. I have no idea.
Speed kills, brother. It works.
And he's such a strong player. And he's another guy that he's saying he's processing the game a little faster. And where the point that he's at in terms of skill set, in terms of ability, he is like not even 0.5. He's like 0.1 second away from really unlocking another level there. He's never going to be like Willie Gay Jr. with the way Willie flies around the field. Right. Willie's one of the most athletic linebackers in the NFL. But if he really is processing the game just a split second faster, even if physically he hasn't gotten a little faster, and let's say he has gotten just 1% faster and is processing just 1% faster, you could see him go from a competent linebacker, again, similar to the Orlando Brown analysis. And that would be a huge deal for a defense that desperately needs that. And they need him and Willie Gay Jr. to have good seasons if they really want to try to not regress from like their midseason form last year.
Yeah.
Right.
If he and Willie are solid, they back up the line, and the line is, even if the line just stays where it was, that's good enough that unless a team is willing to dedicate their game plan to running, right, that they have to go try and attack the secondary. And that's what Spags wants. It doesn't matter to Spags that there's youngins back there. His scheme is designed to make you throw at spots that he feels his guys can get to. Right. And that's where he has the advantage. So whatever they can do to solidify the front seven, or most times six, that's the best process going forward for this defense as a whole.
I agree. And just on a side note, McDuffie is such a good pick for Spags defense. Because you talk about getting to those spots that his guys can get to. McDuffie made his living in college doing that. He made his living erasing where there should be holes in the defense, and that's why he hardly ever got targeted.
Mr. Mayor's in the house. Appreciate you, Mr. James. There's a lot to this question. We're going to get to that, but yes, I'm glad that you point that out, sir, because this is the process. We are not in the beginning. We're in the second phase here. After all the snaps that they got out of the rookie class last year, right now the volume that we expect them to get this year, this is how you turn an entire defense around in – it's just amazing that Veach is being able to pull that off while rebuilding the offensive line and having to sink all that money into the offensive line. It's very difficult. And so if he can concentrate on continue to find guys that they can develop on the defensive side and let the offense grow to have the stars and the blockers and all the stuff that they need, that's a formula to keep this team competitive for the duration of Patrick's contract.
Right. And that's the goal, is continually kind of rehashing things, entering different phases, and then transitioning from one to the other. If they're able to contend this year, and I think they can, that would be extremely impressive, because you lost a probable Hall of Famer in Tyreek Hill, and a guy whose play level was commensurate with a Hall of Famer. His just career was a little bit shortened 2 years ago in Mitch Schwartz. Yeah. And being able to transition from one thing to the next, that's what everyone wants to see the next Patriots. What the Patriots did has never been done. They had two dynasties in a 20-year period. That's what they really did. And that's borderline impossible to do. It was more like a 15-year period, right? They had the three in 5 years or whatever it was, then like another 3 in like 5 years. It was just crazy what they did. And then there was a decade removed, because it's really hard to win the Super Bowl, guys. But what they did, the way they were able to do it, was by continually adapting around Belichick and Brady. And the Chiefs can do the same thing. So you're seeing a new phase here, and that's especially the defense. It really has to completely reinvent himself. It's like 2019 all over again, except this time with rookies.
Yeah.
And Justin Reed.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. And so that brings me to our first question. Folks, make sure that you like and sub and hit the bell if you're not one of us already. If you are a member, Carrie joined already. I know that. For all you new members, if you're at the rookie level or above, you get to choose your level. If you choose rookie and above, you get into the Discord. You just got to email me at that email that was up there before. Thanks to Liz. Appreciate you, Liz, keeping me on the straight and narrow. Let's get into the questions. Now, these are obviously from earlier in the stream, folks, so I know I'm 40 minutes behind. We're going to slam through these 40 or 45 questions. The biggest thing that we want to see were those players, but any big takeaway for you as an overall goal for the team?
Really for the team is stay healthy. Other than that, it's all about evaluating individual players.
I'm with you. Will they move the game because Chicago's field is so bad? Nope. I doubt it. They don't really have anywhere to move it to. Nope. And I don't think I've ever heard of them canceling a game.
Nah.
So
no, the NFL does not cancel. Well, they moved
the Mexico City. Rams? Yeah, the Mexico City game, because that
was worse than, I know Soldier Field looks bad, but that was literally unplayable. That was like that, and that was also the league, because at the time, remember, people were asking if Goff was about as good as Mahomes. That was like, that was Roger Goodell going in there and saying, guys, you cannot have Patrick Mahomes break his ankle on that field.
Right. Yeah. And
nah,
luckily they did. Jaden, so more and more each day, I hear that Rojo is out and Gore is in. They will rock with Pacheco, Gore, Clyde, and McKinnon. That's what the snap counts this last week have looked like, yes. Now, it's funny because a week ago tonight, they had just come out, and Rojo got all the backup snaps behind CEH. So something's either changed in that week, or they've seen what they need from him, and they're trying to get the young guys more reps. Right. I'm okay with Rojo or Pacheco at this point, because Pacheco's shown enough upside that I didn't quite think he'd be able to display until maybe mid-season or so.
Sure.
It seems like he's ahead of the curve, and I'm fine with that. I like Gore as well. The question becomes, if you're not going to keep Rojo, do you keep 4 tailbacks? Because they're keeping Mike Burton no matter what, whether you like it or not, Seth.
I like Mike Burton. Don't make me the hater guy. I just think that you should figure out something to do with a fullback if you're going to keep a fullback.
Yes.
And besides, run the ball more.
No, that's the thing. Do the stuff with the thing.
I cannot wait to talk about this on the Monday show and just go on and on about these dinosaurs.
I can't wait till next offseason. Mike said we could do one of these in person, and you got to show up.
Years coming.
Mike, a great pod. Thank you, sir. Can we hope Brady is contemplating officially retiring since he announced he's leaving the team for the next 10 days? I guess that was prearranged that he talked about when he came back. So, yeah, I think we
wanted him to do this all along.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm guessing that has Giselle written all over it. So, hey, you could hope. I don't know, though.
Now that we know the things we know about what Tom was trying to set up, and hey, whatever, he can do whatever he wants. I don't care. But it would be interesting. I think he probably cares too much about his legacy, but I do think he saw Ryan Jensen go down, and Ryan Jensen is a stud center. That was a bigger
lot
loss.
Of injury.
Yeah, barring them having a backup play at an unexpectedly high level, Ryan Jensen's not a dude. And center, like, if you're going to lose someone, there's competent guys, but you're going to lose some stuff with Ryan Jensen. Yeah. And the interior of the line is very different. And Tom Brady, one of the reasons he chose that team, make no mistake, because Tom Brady, he's a sharp guy. He saw a really good interior line, and he's always really kind of needed that.
Ryan, can you make a Chiefs in the South shirt? I live in Florida. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I could figure that out. Just, I'll brainstorm a logo. Maybe we just use a different compass rose. We'll see that.
It would be like the same compass, but like just like a beach and the waves.
Oh, yeah, a little sand scene. Oh, that'd be kind of nice. Yeah, Jaden, I'll work on that, buddy. Micah, depth chart is released. The beat reporters report Pacheco's RB3. Thoughts on Rojo trade rumors, if he'd been falling before. I would hope that it's trade rumors. I doubt he has much value. I got to tell you the truth. I wouldn't trade for him. But if that's true, then that's fine. I just think it's premature. I think somebody really likes Gore out there, and I think a couple of especially the radio guys, started pumping some stuff up that I have not heard any confirmation on Gore being an option for the 53. It seems to be it's either 4, or if Rojo doesn't make it, that they're going with 3.
Yeah, I mean, Gore becomes a little bit redundant. He was hitting holes a little bit harder than Clyde or Darryl was last year, but he doesn't hit the hole harder than Jet does or Ronald Jones. And from what we're hearing, Pacheco, he's another guy. I obviously look, every day is Pacheco hype day, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And maybe, I mean, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be great? Grab a 1,000-yard rusher in the 7th round. He's got a good physical skill set. He's not quick in the phone booth. But
he's better than I thought, though. He's better than he looked at on college film. I can say that as a definite.
Now, that would intrigue me because you know what? Some guys just, again, to go back to the Nick Bolton theory, some guys just, they translate better to the NFL than they thought they could. And Pacheco's a guy with burst. That matters. Getting to the hole a half second faster, that matters a lot. We'll see.
Ooh, I hope so. That would be another great find. I know everybody wants to compare him to Hunt, but if they get half of the production from him as a backup to CEH, then you can see him taking over when CEH is done. Yeah, I think that will have run its course by then. So
yeah,
Gooch, glad you're back. Hope you're doing well. I know you're flying somewhere. I got a question in with the big man. So told me you were a fan. Okay, cool. I like it. I'm not sure a fan of what, but okay.
You're a fan of everything me.
Well, okay, yeah. And folks, if you haven't heard about it, there is something very cool coming on Rokehead Huddle very soon. And maybe some stuff after that. We got a few irons in the fire. We are making a push. If you're here tonight and you're one of our subs already, go find me 2 more subs. We got to get growing again. It's season time. I know everybody's been off for the summer. They've been enjoying some things, but we got to get this growth started again. I know Cole's going to hit 50K this year, so we're going to try to keep up. So everybody, click that around, share it to your grandma.
Got to grow a beard.
Brother,
it ain't going to be me.
No, we know that, and this is as good as I get.
No, there's nothing. I can grow a creepy little half mustache.
Well, I'm going to need you to send me a ear.
Yeah, cool.
I can
Stop being so selfish. Shave your beard and send it to me. Come on.
Wait, that's a step too far. That's a little creepy. No human hair masks. Just see, you had to go there, didn't you? Okay.
All a matter of how far you're willing to go.
Oh, you're going farther than me. Clinton, is Kennard's footwork even worse than advertised? From what I've seen, except for in selected routes, he looked exactly like he looked in college to me. Maybe he's getting tossed up and tangled up a little bit more with some of the guys that do have a little bit more quickness. Sure. But I said in my evaluation pre-draft that he needs to go inside to guard. I haven't seen anything to tell me I'm wrong about that yet. So.
Sure. Yeah, so far they haven't seemed to be exploring that with him. He does have great length, really good strength. I just don't think Andrew Wiley was ever going to go down without a fight. I mean, he's a better guard, or he's a better tackle than people think. He's not incompetent, and it's hard. We talked about this, like we were talking about whether Creed Humphrey could grab the job last year. Mm-hmm. It's hard to replace an average NFL lineman. Now, Creed did it, but Kennard is not Creed.
No, and so few people are. I think you have well shielded yourself from the rightful abuse of wearing Raiders colors, especially when you look at the see, that's what we talk about. I like it. NFL Jam. I didn't know that one, but thanks for pointing it out, Stevie. As always.
check out my Twitter feed for more information on that. There's some pretty righteous shirts.
Sweet,
I'm like Mr. Swag tonight. Like I got a shirt from Homage the same day that you've got an awesome shirt. So buy all the shirts, people. And that sweatshirt. I really want that sweatshirt.
That sweatshirt's pretty cool. I got one of those coming for me. So, how will defenses play for us week 1 through 4? And will they still drop 7 to 8 in coverage and rush 3 to 4? Micah, that's a great question. And I have a tendency to think that it was as much about stopping Mahomes as it was about stopping Tyreek. So I think at least the first couple games, they're going to try to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Until the Chiefs show that they make them get out of it. So I'm with you. I think that's how it starts. But if he distributes the ball well and the pass game becomes quicker hitting, less like lag time waiting for routes to develop, like that you had to do to let Tyreek do his thing. Right. I think that's going to pull teams out of too high pretty quickly. So by week 5, 6, 7, you're getting what you want.
Right. And the rushing 3 or 4 is here to stay. Teams just don't blitz Patrick Mahomes because you can't. You really can't. The rare times teams blitzed him last year, he still shredded it. Like maybe, I don't know, teams are thinking, well, he's not going to see it coming because we do it so rarely. But he sees the field so well that you start blitzing and it's over. And so I really don't see any. I don't see any end to the rushing 3 or 4. If teams are going to beat Mahomes, it's going to be with terrific 3 or 4 guys rushing the passer, or excellent coverage on the back end. I mean, absolutely excellent. And then you still need a guy who's going to QB spy, because even with great coverage and rushing 4, he's going to get loose through those B gaps every time now that he knows exactly where to go with Brown. And so that's here to stay, because you can't blitz him. I didn't see a single team do it with any sort of consistent success, right? He got by a few blitzes over the course of the year, but in terms of consistency, blitzing him is just the worst idea.
It doesn't pay off. That's just the bottom line.
Right.
Great question. How many of the 10 draft picks make the 53?
Ooh.
9 of them is what I'm thinking right now.
Who do you think misses the cut?
Najee Johnson.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean,
it is. It's only because he's playing behind Snead.
He is playing behind Snead because they don't have him at safety right now, right?
Right. I guess he's getting nickel reps predominantly. Some outside, but mostly nickel. And I think that's a tough call for him.
Yeah, and that's interesting if they think he can play nickel, because I know they don't love – although Trent McDuffie could play nickel in a heartbeat, although they seem to really want him at boundary. I just think they've got – they really, really, really – obviously they like McDuffie. They obviously like Brian Cook. Both those guys are going to see a ton of snaps. And then Joshua Williams, man, he's got great size, terrific athleticism. And so then, like, I mean, if you're Najee Johnson, you need to bait out Jalen Watson. And Watson's college film, when I watched him, he looked more like a 4th rounder to me. Like, he knows now. Obviously, he's got some athleticism limitations, but he's a big dude, and he uses it really well. And he's a smart player, and that's hard to unseat those guys. I mean, so I think that he would be the one who doesn't make the cut, because Pacheco is really looking like he's going to make it.
Yeah, you got to keep Kennard. I think Watson makes it right now. I mean, unless Lonnie comes on.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that Fenton's going to be here, folks. Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy.
6'3". That is a huge corner.
Yeah.
Wasn't Sean Smith 6'2"?
Yeah, I think so. He might have been 6'2.5" or whatever, but Sean Smith, Breezy, I mean, they're all in that kind of vein, that long, tall, big dude that can play physical. And they want some of that on this roster no matter what. So, Corbin, I think the Bengals are trying to talk themselves into we shouldn't have lost that Super Bowl. You're wrong, but it's fine. Spards, welcome, and glad you joined the memberships. Hope you got in the Discord successfully. He said, Seth, I like your premise of watching individuals in the preseason instead of being concerned with win-loss. Thanks to all the crew for the great education of the game. Thank you, Spards, for being one of our more devout members. It's nice to see you, and thanks for the support. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
there's a lot in here. Judge, same as well. You've been here from the beginning. Did you guys watch Old Man on FX? It's on the DVR, but I've been doing a lot of work lately, and I just haven't had a chance. We moved this summer, and I'm still behind on that. In fact, I still haven't found. If you guys remember, I had that metal Chiefs Super Bowl plaque.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's buried somewhere in a box. I don't know where it is. I got to find
I feel like I see the old man every time I look in the mirror these days. So,
oh well, I feel like him. I'll tell you that. Does Burton make the most sense as our third down back? Not necessarily, because you want to be able to exploit the defense with speed as well. But he does make sense always.
I think the third down back will probably be Clyde or Jet, and maybe Pacheco if he really impresses them. Pacheco, we've talked about this before. He did a lot of pass pro in college.
Yes, that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, and he's good at it. And so if he can make them comfortable with routes, because he just didn't run many routes, that might be one of the reasons why they're talking him up, is because they're like, this is a guy we could throw on the field as a rookie.
That's what it comes down to. If everybody would go sub to Sean's channel, that would be great. You're going to see Sean here on RGR as well this season. We're still working that out, and I'll let you know when the schedule comes out. Carrie, thank you. Can't wait for the game against the Bengals because it's my mom's team. It was a tough. Carrie, I like that. I want revenge against the mom. I used to do that too. My mom's team was the Bears, so we got along just fine for most of our lives.
Yeah, and then look, to the victor goes the spoils. The Bengals get to talk that trash. We'll see what happens if they meet in the playoffs again. Maybe Patrick Mahomes will, lose his mind in the second half again, and Travis Kelce and other stars will play poorly. It's hard to say.
I see what you're getting at, counselor. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate your support. Napoleon, what's up with Lonnie Johnson? I hear he's looking good, but he can't get in the field with the ones. Will he make the 53? He is the conundrum of camp for me, because I hear the same thing. According to the beat reporters that I've talked to, he's dominating the threes. He's dominating the twos, and they're not getting him running with the ones, and I'm not sure why. It's only one of two things in my mind, Seth. What do you think?
They either know what they have in him, and they're kind of playing the cards close to the vest a little bit.
Yep.
Because they were excited about trading for him. I know they talked to Justin Reed about it. Reed was really excited about it. And we know Lonnie Johnson has talent. I mean, there's a reason he was a high-end draft pick. So that's one possibility. The only other one I could see, if he's having that much success against the twos and the threes, because I've heard really good things about him too, is that McDuffie and Williams really are playing that well, which that would be hilarious, just on a side note.
Yeah, I mean,
that seems hard to believe. That would be so funny if after years of just neglecting the corner position from a front office perspective, and they always got
it in 1 year.
Yeah, they just in 1 year they're like, I suppose we should get 3 starting level guys in here, huh?
No problem.
Yeah, I guess we might as well. Hey, Fenton, thanks for playing at a competent starting level for years when we unearthed you in like the 5th round or 6th round or wherever. But we're good now. It's like, what the? Like, I mean, so we'll see. What's your theory? Because I mean,
you had the first one. They know what he is. They know how they want to use him, and they don't really have to like experiment much. So they're just going to let him play fewer snaps, take it easy on camp, make sure that he's there. I mean, he's a tight end monster. About the only guy that gets the better of him is Gronk and Kels. So like, he's good against others. So that might be a specialized role, but that's kind of eating into what Brian Cook's going to do. So I think maybe they're trying to figure that out. The only thing that I can think of is I heard that he had some issues locking down the playbook in Houston. So if he's having a little trouble making the adjustment, that could be it too. And maybe it'll just be a, mid-season emergence or something like that.
And we know that's a big deal with Spags.
Yeah, absolutely. He wants you to know it backwards and forwards. Arthur, is the plan to use Chanel as a Sam linebacker similar to Hassan Reddick, trying to identify his impact as a rookie? That's a great question, because they are not talking about him. Not to anybody that I know or that I've spoken to. Is they're trying to find a way, but they use the overhang Sam sometimes. But the way that they look like they're aligning in camp to me is that they really want Elijah Lee to like play a true Sam, drop into coverage and not come off the edge. So maybe Chanel's a blitz package only guy for now.
Yeah. Maybe he's more Reggie Ragland than what people were hoping.
Right now.
Right, for right now. And again, and Reggie Ragland, they're built very differently. Reggie's huge.
Yeah,
and
slow.
Yeah,
I love Reg.
And that's like, oh, we need another defensive end. Hey, Reggie, and
hey,
there you go. I would just say, I mean, the specifics of that position, he's not going to play Sam the same way Nick Bolton played it last year. But Leo, I mean, he's got to show that he's not a guy who can get legitimately picked on in coverage.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he's at right now. And the problem with the Sam role, with the way the Chiefs did it when it's not an overhang, is that you don't generally get to do some of the things that the Mike does, where you end up dropping back to a spot, defending, the hook defender, whatever you want to call it. Whereas the Sam, you end up isolated on the running back. And there's not a lot that can be done to compensate for that.
You got to be able to turn. It's not, like you said, it's not dropping the spot. You got to be able to turn and run with a guy.
Yeah, you got to be able to turn around and then change directions. And once he opens up, that's just never – Wisconsin didn't ask him to do it.
Nope, it's rut-row. And that's why I think year 2, he'll be much farther along. And so in the meantime, it's how do you put a blitz package in for him? How do you get him to be able to rush without giving away the fact that you're sending him on a rush?
Right. And so I think they really want to use him. They really like the player, and he's physical, and they want him on the field against the run. I'm told that he blows up these run drills that they have. And obviously with a guy like Bolton already, Willie Gay is really good against the run too. Like Bolton, his reputation is so good that like people kind of forget Willie Gay hits real hard. He is super physical. And the three of them could really do some things against the run. It's just you can't be exploited. And they're finally in a position to where they're hoping that their top 2 linebackers aren't guys who are getting exploited in the passing game, because that's been going on for years.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Carrie, welcome to the memberships. Like I said before,
Nice.
Cole, I hope you're feeling better. I know MRIs are something that can help, and I hope it sheds some light for you, dude. Feel free. Let's touch base here in this next week, maybe. And see how you're doing.
Backstop is tough, man. I'll be praying for you. Those are always really tough things.
I will not, but he will.
Don't worry, I'll get him. It's cool, guys. Give him another year hanging out with me. He's gonna be sitting here just like, it's gonna be great.
The Reverend's like, I will get you eventually.
Yeah, okay. I'm coming for you. You. That's us.
On your, by the way, who's more revered, Tarkenton, Moss, or Peterson up there in the frozen north by you?
And definitely not Moss, and they like Randy Moss a lot. And Peterson had a few things kind of complicated. Right now, it is Peterson, but Tarkenton is going to overtake that again eventually.
I gotta think so. I mean, he's so unique. If he hadn't done Ripley's, I think he'd be fine right now. But that's just me.
Right. But yeah, no, you really just don't. No, really, the guy the most revered guy for most Vikings fans. If you're really gonna, I mean, some of the Purple People Eaters, there's a lot there. But honestly, like if you want to do that universally, every Vikings fan would die for is John Randall.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Go look at John Randall's sack numbers and then go compare it to other like all-star, all-pro, all-everything defensive tackles. Randall had over 10 sacks like every year. Do you know how hard that is from a tackle spot? One sack couldn't do it.
I know, right? Warren Sapp was coaching
Donald doesn't even do it. Well, he does now. But teams throw the ball away. Like John Randall, year after year, 10, 11, 13, 15, 10. It's unbelievable.
Stevie has a great question, folks. You can hear more about this on Roguehead Huddle with Stevie, Gooch, and Aaron. Make sure you check that out. What position on this roster, as it is, do I have the best chance to go in and take a grown man's job?
Like you personally, Stevie, or any like?
I think he means him.
Yeah. Long snapper, which is way harder than it looks, by the way.
It is. I was going to say.
Yeah, but I
think it's kicker. Yeah. If Justin Reed can hit a 65-yarder, all you got to do is hit a couple extra points, Stevie, and you're in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've always felt like punter would be the way to go to enter the NFL. You don't have that same pressure.
Dude, Tommy has the best job on this roster. I mean, let's be serious. Ask Dustin Colquitt how much he liked being that role.
Oh, yeah. I love hearing him talk about that. He's like, oh my goodness. I thought I was going to have to punt, and it's so much fun.
Somebody wake up Hicks. I watched Aliens the other night. Sorry. Long-time listener, short-time member. Welcome, Cody. Lifelong Chiefs fan. What are some keys that look for Karlaftis in his debut this season? Does he come off the ball as well as he did in college? Or is he still thinking? If his first step looks like it did at Purdue, then he's moved past that point with all this information cramming his skull.
That's a really, really good one. Whether or not his power translates at the next level. He utilized long arms really well in college. You never know. You just never know what that's going to look like. Yeah. Just because these guys are just different. I love one of my favorite things about following the Schwartz brothers, both Mitch and Jeff, is and I think they probably get tired of being asked about it because everyone asks about it, but they talk about it all the time, just how different it is at the NFL level, where you are weekly probably playing someone that's better than literally anyone you've ever played in college.
And let's be real. Karlaftis has put some backup tackles in camp on their heels.
Yep.
Going up against starters, even if it is, I don't even know who's starting for them right now.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard anything about him dominating. I've heard him beating Wiley a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard any I just went right around Orlando Brown or right through Orlando Brown, which the right through Orlando Brown is not fair. I'm trying to think of Carl Lawson. I saw do one where he got him back. Carl Lawson that dude is a bear. And so that's hard to follow that.
The left tackle for the Bears right now is Braxton Jones, a rookie. So if you see him line up on the right against the left tackle on the right side of the defense, and he's getting good reps there, that's a solid sign that he's continued to progress. Riley Reif is the other tackle, as we understand. If he gets the better of him, that's a guy with a lot of experience who isn't the athlete, and so that gives you a balance of both ways that he can get it done.
Yeah.
So let's hope that he does well. Deldrick wants to know if will we trade Rojo and Gore for Kareem Hunt? No. No.
The Browns aren't going to trade him.
No.
Um,
If he really pisses them off, they're going to hold on to him until week 3, and then they're going to cut him.
mm-hmm.
They're not giving him away for a song. And honestly, the Chiefs aren't going to give anything for him. That bridge is toast.
Guys, with Kareem Hunt, great fit for the offense, excellent football player. But the reality is he sealed his fate with the Kansas City Chiefs for good. Barring, I just can't ever see that being undone. And that was, he looked Andy Reid dead in his eyes. Metaphorically, I'm not reporting something here, but he looked Andy Reid dead in his eyes and lied to him.
That just ain't going to come back from that while they're still here.
Yep.
Will you answer Jason's question? I'm interested in your response, and I'm going to grab the last of our questions, folks. If you're a super chatter, I will get you. If you have any other questions, throw them in there now.
All right. So, Jason, thanks for the great content always. We appreciate it. What are the three greatest challenges for the Chiefs this season? The first one is going to be blending the numbers approach with the wide receiver position. It's an entirely different approach than what they've done the last couple of years, where he's been heavily reliant on Hill. And for good reason. Great results. Trying that's going to be a huge challenge. Figuring out the pass rush is going to be a massive challenge for them. And then the secondary, it encompasses a huge thing. But they are trying to rebuild some stuff here on the secondary. It's just hard to incorporate that many young guys. And if they do those things well, they're going to have a good season. They'll probably have a good season either way, because the defense could be the worst defense in the NFL, and they'll still win 11 games at least. But how easy it is to make a run at the Super Bowl is going to be dictated by how those three things go.
I'm with you. I don't know what's going on, but Liz, you rule. Thank you for taking care. Sometimes the backseat gets a little rowdy. You got to take care of stuff, so I appreciate it.
Did Liz have to clean up a little bit?
Sometimes. Don't make my mama mad. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's pretty simple. Mr. Mayor, appreciate the support. Thank you, sir. Stevie, Veach had to go young on the 2021 spending. Offensive spending rank was 28th, while defensive was first in the NFL. Money didn't reflect performance. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, that's just the truth. And some of that is, when you really, so Jones was really expensive. Matthews really expensive.
Right.
And then Clark was really expensive. Hitchens was not cheap. His deal was pretty expensive that last year. Trying to think of who else they had that would have cost them a fair amount. But I think those were really the guys.
Offense really 28th though? That seems really low.
The offensive spending?
Yeah.
Well, Mahomes' contract, this is the really first big year.
Right.
And then, Orlando was on that last year.
Right.
Rookie and Tooney's was huge, but the rest of the line was a bunch of rookies. And Hills, it just wasn't that bad. They really just avoided huge spending. And they definitely needed to. You see now, like the guys with the huge contracts, now Hitch is gone, Matthews gone, Clark we'll see. He had to rearrange some stuff. The only one you've got left is Jones, and it's no coincidence. Well, for one, where he was at in his contract, but also he was the only one who played at an elite level last year consistently.
Hey, that's what makes money in the end.
Yep.
That'll up it. Cody said Rojo is out. Keep 3 halfbacks in Burton and store an extra corner. That may be exactly what they do. It might lead to a 4th tight end as well. Like you got to have some flexibility with this crew this year.
I would go that route for sure.
Yeah. Carrie, thank you for the support, and thank you, Cody, as well. So I've been listening since last year and just became a member. I am stoked for this season. Thank you, Carrie. And welcome. Yeah, thanks for being here that long. That's awesome. It's hard to believe, folks. We just had an announcement the other day. Yesterday's show was our 6th year on Locked On Chiefs. And this channel is less than half that old. I don't think I started until September in 19.
It's crazy how long that Locked On's been going on, man. I feel like it does not feel like that long ago that I was popping on there with you guys twice a week. It was nice.
I know, right? Oh, it was a long time ago. Jeremy, I listened to the podcast the other day while I was on the man's dime. I like that. About Trent being quiet first. He's a young guy, but you got me once, won't get me again, dude. I agree with you. And I think for a guy who was not asked to play much man in college, he's definitely coming on to the techniques that Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo are teaching him. And it's going to take a little time, but I think he's made a lot of progress already.
He always had really good feet. And generally speaking, that's going to translate into good man coverage.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. If you can turn your hips and your feet follow, you're good. With the Pacheco hype, some crazy comps have been made. Oh, good Lord. I think it's much more likely that we could fill in Williams' role with good hands, pass blocking, and size. Thoughts? Yeah, that's
a more explosive D-Will. Yeah.
I'm here for that.
And honestly, a more explosive Darrell Williams is a potential 1,100 yards a season rusher.
Yeah.
Because Williams really had everything else he wanted. It just couldn't quite. Once he opened up, he was fast. But he just, that first 3 steps, whereas Pacheco can explode a little bit. That said, I mean, Williams ran a little stronger with the ball, and Pacheco didn't have to show those type of receiving chops.
Yeah.
That Williams showed off, especially last year. And so if Pacheco does, that's actually, I could see that as a fun comp.
Yeah. Hey, I'll be here on the backside of it forever. It'll be fine.
Everyone wants to trade Rojo and Gore for Hunt, by the way.
I'm sorry. I must have clicked there twice to get it in there. My fault. Sorry, Deldrick. Nate, why was Andy balanced with the run when we had Hunt? Now he favors the pass and always keeps a fullback, but doesn't use him. He was not balanced with the run.
They were just a lot better at running the ball, and so you noticed it more. His percentages actually weren't that different. There's also the fact of the matter that his percentages have been a little different with Alex Smith as opposed to as opposed to the Patrick Mahomes.
Tailbacks.
That's his name. Whatever, this guy on my shirt.
That dude.
There's definitely there's just a difference there. And Andy Reid was always going to, as soon as he got a guy like Mahomes, as if there's ever been someone like Mahomes, but an elite quarterback, he was always going to trend even farther towards the passing game.
I tracked it from when Andy came here until I think 20 or 21, taking out anything that I considered a called option or a called RPO that led to a pass, that kind of thing. Andy's percentage drifted between 38 and 32%. It never got to 40. Mm-hmm. So I'm just screaming in the wind is basically what it is about the run game.
And one thing that's worth noting is the really high number of RPOs that Mahomes, I think, throws the ball
by choice. Yeah,
almost every time. That's ticked it up another % or 2.
Oh my Lord, Miss Holly. Thank you. That's impressive, folks. If you have just become a member because Miss Holly has been so generous, please let me know and put that in the email. Wow, Miss Holly, you are amazing. Thank you very much. And Liz, thanks for making sure that I saw that. I really appreciate that. I must have missed it earlier in the chat, but yeah, that's one of the newest things that YouTube does to get more people so they can get behind the scenes with their favorite channels is you can gift somebody a membership now. And that gets you all the behind stuff from Gooch and Stevie and Keys and myself and Dan's rants and all the stuff that has language in it that I won't put out for the algorithm, put out for you guys behind the wall. That's the way that it works.
The algorithm doesn't like that terrible language.
I am the son of a sailor, and you can tell when I speak. I'll just put it that way. Let's see. Michael's was better upside, Karlaftis or Chanel?
Upside? Karlaftis.
Yeah. Okay.
Chanel, I mean, the thing with Chanel is that he really, like, in terms of upside, the only way that he could approach, I mean, let's say, assuming they both reach their maximum capacity, even if Chanel were somehow a technically better player, given the positions they play, give me a defensive end that's 90% as good as an off-ball linebacker.
Okay. See, I read the question differently there. Like, I feel like Karlaftis is closer to his eventual ceiling than Chanel is.
Oh.
So that's the way that I took that. But that's I evaluate first. Reggie Boone, can we expect Dustin Crum to be better than Chase Litton, Kyle Shermer, Anthony Gordon, and Tyler Bray?
You can hope.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough to make me think that. I think Michelle still has the lead by a little bit, and that I think that tells you all you need to know. But
yeah,
I can hope. I go back and I watch that YO game that he played against the Cowboys. The kid had it that day. I just don't know where that guy is.
Yep, some days you just have it.
Yeah. Gooch, thank you very much. What I was saying during Keys in my interview, we let people know that Seth was a fan. Oh, of Jason Dunn. Gotcha.
Yes.
And told many thanks and much appreciated. Okay, yes. Okay.
No, that's awesome to hear. Dunn was just such a stud. It was such a fun guy to watch.
I mean, if we had a Jason Dunn now to put on this roster so that Andy could use him, I mean, come on.
That'd be fun.
Come on.
He does like throwing an inline blocking tight end out there for a guy that's so pro passing. He'll do that.
It'd make me very happy, Andy. I'm just saying. Don't worry, Paddock. I'm running late tonight, too. We are getting down to the end, though. And, Mike, I forgot that you live in Denver, too. Colorado, folks, we are going to get together here at some point at Don's, I think. So keep that in mind for this season. And a lot more coming from Gooch and Stevie and Keys and Aaron. A lot in the pike. For you members, it is the member meetup that is up the next couple of weeks from Aaron. So be ready for that as well. Last super chat of the night from Flapjack. Please don't throw any more in, folks. I know. I got to get you all, so I can't ignore them. Is it sad that we're talking more about a 7th-round pick than CEH? If y'all remember my face when they selected a running back in the first round, now you know why.
I think one way I'll frame it is Pacheco's new, Clyde's not. And so you're going to hear a lot more conversations about a guy that flashes anything. If you remember before Clyde's rookie year, like during training camp, he was getting a ton of buzz. We tend to talk about the new, and with Clyde, he's been talked about so much, there's really not a whole lot else to say. You know, what are you going to say? He's got to show a little bit better explosion this year, and hopefully he gets used a little bit better. That's really it.
There's 6 or 8 guys on this roster this year that are the epitome of living in Missouri. Show me. You think you're that good. You think you deserve a contract. Show me. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. And unfortunately, Clyde's just one of them. And yes, I know he's had the injury, and that's a legitimate reason why he hasn't been able to show yet. Yeah. But this is his last chance. Show me.
Yep. Oh, and that means staying healthy too.
Yeah, it does.
Which is a bummer because it's not like there's anything we can really do to control that. I mean, there are some things, but all these guys are doing those some things.
Yeah.
And so sometimes luck just stinks too. So, I mean, we'll see. But I mean, he really, because of I really think he's a guy whose limitation that was clear in college, that explosion and top end speed, it was clear that there was a limitation there in college. What wasn't clear was how much more pronounced it might look at the next level. And I think the Chiefs took a gamble there because of his other traits, and maybe they just lost that gamble. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes this year.
Yeah. I could cross my fingers. I got hope, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Keys. If people don't identify with that, then I'm just showing that I'm the old dude again. Sorry. Did they change the motto? Is it not the Show Me State anymore?
I don't know. You know, he's just picking on you because he loves you.
I like that. I guess it was eventful. Miss Liz, thank you for running roughshod over the chat. I appreciate that. If there's anything that I need to know, I won't be able to review it because there's so much in here. If you guys would just let me know if there's anything that I need to look at or users that I have to go back and track down to eliminate from our presence. That's what I'm looking for. So a lot coming at you. We still have more content for you. We're going to continue to tweak things. This 2 doses of Seth a week is what I'm really excited about. So thank you for everyone's support tonight. Thank you for all you super chatters, all you new members. Check out the new gear in the store. I am working on a new store too to get some of the gear we can't get right now. So keep that an eye open for that. And I'm going to leave you one more time with the brand new open for the V 2.0 of Chief in the North. So Seth, thank you for your time as always. And they will see you next week. All right, here we go. Night all. See you later.